Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought I'd be the kind of man who questioned the person he loved. My name is Ethan, and for most of our relationship, I trusted Claire with everything I had. She was funny, steady, and naturally charming, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and make people feel like they'd known her forever. We had been together for 4 years, married for 2. Life wasn't perfect, but it was steady. We lived in a small apartment just outside Chicago, both working long hours and barely seeing each other during the week. Still, I believed our foundation was strong, until the day small cracks began to show. It started quietly, the late-night work dinners, the sudden obsession with fitness when she'd never cared about the gym before, the way her phone suddenly never left her hand. I told myself not to overthink it, that paranoia ruins marriages faster than the truth ever could. But one evening, sitting alone at our dining table waiting for her to come home, I noticed something strange. Her location tag, something we shared out of habit, wasn't updating. It showed her still at work, even though her office had closed 2 hours earlier. When she finally walked in, she looked surprised to see me awake. "Hey," she said, setting down her purse quickly, almost too quickly. "You're still up?" I smiled, trying to sound normal. "Yeah, just waiting for you. Late night?" She paused before answering. "Yeah, we had some last-minute paperwork. You know how it is." But I didn't. Claire's firm didn't do late paperwork. Everything was scheduled with precision. I'd heard her brag about it enough times to know something didn't add up. That night, while she showered, I sat in the dim light, staring at her phone on the counter. The screen lit up once, just long enough for me to see a name. Adam. My stomach twisted, but I didn't touch the phone. I wasn't ready to cross that line. Not yet. Days passed and the unease turned into a quiet obsession. I noticed everything. A new perfume, hidden receipts, a locked phone gallery. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong, but I still hoped I was wrong. Then came the night that shattered the illusion. We were heading out to dinner with her coworkers, a rare double-date kind of evening. She wore a black skirt and a white silk blouse, her hair neatly tied back, her lips painted a shade I'd never seen before. She looked beautiful and yet unfamiliar. As she adjusted her skirt before leaving, something white peeked out near the waistband. At first, I thought it was a tag, but curiosity mixed with fear took over. "Hey, hold on," I said casually, stepping closer. "You've got something there." She froze halfway through turning. "What do you mean?" "Let me fix it." I reached out and gently tugged at the inner lining of her skirt. A folded piece of paper slipped onto the floor. She went pale, completely still. When I bent down to pick it up, she tried to grab it first, but I was quicker. My hands shook as I unfolded the note. There it was, handwritten, neatly folded, with a man's name at the bottom. "Can't wait to see you again tonight. Same place." The words didn't need explanation. My chest felt empty. My ears rang as if the room had gone silent. She stood there, unable to speak, her lips trembling. "Ethan, it's not what you think." I let out a quiet laugh, the kind that comes when pain hits too fast to process. "Then tell me," I said softly. "What am I supposed to think?" Her eyes darted toward the door, then back to me, searching for an escape. But the silence that followed said more than any confession ever could. I placed the note on the table between us. "You know," I said quietly, "I used to think the worst thing that could happen was losing you. Turns out it's realizing I never really had you." Claire didn't respond right away. Her hands shook as if words were trapped between guilt and fear. I watched her breathe, her lips parting like she wanted to speak, but nothing came out. Finally, she said, "It's not an affair, it's complicated." Complicated, the universal word for lies wrapped in half-truths. I sat down and motioned her to continue. "Go on," I said calmly. "Uncomplicated." She stared at the note, avoiding my eyes. "Adam's a friend from work. We were supposed to meet on a project." I cut her off. "At night, with lying about paperwork, with notes saying you can't wait to see him again?" Her face crumbled, tears filling her eyes. "I know how it looks. I didn't mean for it to happen. She paused, breathing unevenly. "I just felt unseen, Ethan." That word hit harder than I expected. Some part of me knew there was truth in it. I had been distant, stuck in routine, but distance doesn't justify betrayal. It calls for honesty. "So you felt unseen," I said slowly, "and instead of talking to me, you chose to be seen by someone else?" She sank onto the couch, covering her face. "It wasn't supposed to mean anything." "It always means something," I whispered. The silence stretched thick and heavy. The clock ticked, rain topped against the window. Her breathing shook. I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and walked toward the door. "Ethan, please," she said softly, "don't leave like this." I turned around. "Claire, you already left," I said. "You just forgot to take your body with you." Then I walked out. I drove for hours, city lights blurring past. I didn't cry, I didn't yell. I just let the quiet sit beside me. My phone kept buzzing, her name lighting the screen, but I didn't answer. When I finally parked by the lake, everything was still. I rolled down the window, breathed in the cold air, and let my thoughts drift. Somewhere between the pain and numbness, I realized I wasn't just angry at her. I was disappointed in myself for ignoring the signs, for believing love could survive without attention. The next morning, I went home. She was there, eyes swollen from crying, sitting at the kitchen table like a child waiting for punishment. "I'll move out," she said quietly. "You don't deserve this." I poured myself a cup of coffee, my hands steady now. "I don't need an apology," I said. "I need the truth." She hesitated. "It started innocent," she admitted. "He made me laugh at work. He listened when I complained. Then one night after a client dinner, we kissed. I ended it right away. But after that, the guilt slowly turned into confusion. I didn't know how to face you anymore." Her honesty came too late to save what we had. Yet, for the first time, I felt a strange calm. At least now, the shadow had a name. "I wish you had told me sooner," I said. "We could have tried to fix things, but you chose secrets instead of solutions." She nodded, silent tears sliding down her cheeks. I left the apartment that afternoon with only a small bag and the heavy weight of what once was. I stayed in a hotel for a while, then found a new place across town. The weeks passed quietly. Work, gym, silence, repeat. Healing wasn't dramatic, it was slow, like learning to walk on unfamiliar ground. Sometimes I thought about that night, the note, her face, the shaking silence between us, and wondered if I would ever trust again. Then one evening, while grabbing coffee near the train station, a stranger smiled at me. Just a simple, kind smile, and it reminded me the world hadn't ended, it had only changed. Months later, a letter arrived. No return address, but I knew the handwriting right away. "Ethan, you were good to me in ways I didn't understand until I lost you. I don't expect forgiveness. I only hope you find someone who sees your worth before it's too late." I folded the letter, placed it in my drawer, and took a long breath. Maybe forgiveness wasn't something you gave another person. Maybe it was something you gave yourself for believing love would always be enough. As I stared out the window that night, watching the city lights glow, I realized something simple yet powerful. You can't stop people from betraying you, but you can stop letting betrayal shape who you are. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel broken.